Guys, are you tired of wearing your Axe body spray? You're tired of smelling like double chocolate vanilla Dark Temptation? Well, boy, do I have a list for you. There are hundreds of thousands of different fragrances that are on the market. And most of us, when we go out and buy something new, we want to have a scent that we're somewhat familiar with, something that we know that we're going to like. In today's video, I have 10 fragrances that I think that every guy should be familiar with. If you tried these 10 fragrances, I'm sure that it kind of gave you some direction on what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy. The scent of these 10 do vary quite a bit, but they are all still designer fragrances. Seeing as people don't hop normally right into niche fragrances, I felt that a designer list would be more appropriate for those that are starting off their collection. Now, somewhere down the road, I might do a niche fragrance list that, that's going to be more tailored for the variety of niche fragrances, but this one is going to be simply just designer fragrances. If you do find value in this video, please do not forget to hit the subscribe down below along with the notification bell so that anytime I post one of these videos, you'll get alerted. But on that note, let's get into it. Number 10 on this list is going to be a fragrance that initially is one that kind of deterred me from ever wanting to collect fragrances, because the only thing that came to my mind when I thought of colognes in general were these style of fragrances, the older, more mature kind of scents. Since then, I have tried out a lot more fragrances and seen that not necessarily all fragrances are going to be that old man kind of grumpy kind of scent that this one is kind of like. Having top notes of caraway, iris, lavender, clary sage, basil, anise, bergamot, and lemon. Mid notes of sandalwood, juniper berries, patchouli, vetiver, cedar, and cardamom. Base notes of leather, tonka bean, amber, musk, and oak moss. You get Azara Pour Homme. So guys, here's the classic here, the Azara Pour Homme. Like I said, this for me is a definition of like old man smell. And I mean, it's good for like wearing when I go get a haircut, but not necessarily something that I want to wear as like a daily driver kind of scent, because this would get really old to me. No pun intended there with old. I'm just not the biggest fan of. It's a bit aged for me. I think this came out in like 1978. And this is one that I feel like get yours on first and then realize that not all fragrances are going to be like this, and that there are fragrances that are very similar to this that actually smell quite a bit better. Guys, that again, that is Azara Pour Homme. And next on this list is going to be something that's a bit more youthful. It's going to be a bit more for the younger crowd than it is going to be for something that's, it's going to be a lot of, like, pretty much the polar opposite of the Azara Pour Homme. It's going to be something that's, like I said, more youthful, but this is a powerhouse of a fragrance. It's one that can be worn out to the bars, to the club, and you'll get positive attention. It also has great performance in terms of the longevity, projection. Now the scent is going to be a bit iffy. It is a pretty synthetic scent. It's not something that's going to be super natural, but that's not what this fragrance is trying to do. It's not trying to come across as like a supernatural kind of fragrance. With top notes of grapefruit, C notes and mandarin orange, mid notes of laurels and jasmine, base notes of guaiac wood, moss, patchouli, and ambergris, you get Invictus. And here what I have, guys, is the Paco Rabanne Invictus, the collector's edition. So it's going to be looking a little bit different than the one that you'll see at the store if you're trying to pick out the standard Invictus. But this stuff is pretty much the same exact stuff, just rebottled. This is going to be for, like I said, the younger crowd. It's not going to be something that 25 and up really is going to wear. I wear it because I kind of just enjoy a scent. This is one that I'll really wear out and about. This is one that I wear like around my house, maybe to work, and worn lightly because it is a bit loud. It does project. It does perform pretty well. But the scent DNA is new to me, as in this is my first bottle of Invictus that I've owned. I haven't owned Invictus in the past, and it's pleasant, bubblegummy. It's not something that's going to be, like I said, super. It's quite synthetic. It doesn't have anything about it that's really like the grapefruit in the opening is not going to be super like, wow, that's definitely from a grapefruit. It's a nice combination of a synthetic mess that works. Again, guys, that is Paco Rabanne Invictus. And next on this list is going to be something that is a more affordable option than what it's trying to be like. It has its fresh nuances. It has a certain amount of mandarin, a certain amount of fruits in there that give off a very pleasant aroma, a bit of a spice to it. But if you can get your nose on this versus what it's trying to be like, I would much rather you go out and get your nose on this one than spending $100+ on what it's trying to be like. It's not necessarily a clone, really. It's just pretty similar. With notes like bergamot, cinnamon, mandarin, lavender, cedarwood, vetiver, patchouli, oak moss, and musk, you get Perry Ellis Red. Now this fragrance here, guys, is pretty much a clone of Acqua di Gio, the original. Yeah, I can see it. It is a bit spicier than the original, but this DNA here is one of the most well-known on this entire list. This one is very, very hard to dislike, not only for yourself to dislike it, but it's hard for people that are around you to dislike it, because it's just that pleasant, that clean, easy to wear. Like I said, it's nothing that's gonna be super natural. No one's gonna smell that and be like, oh, that's that note. It's gonna be just a pleasant, clean scent. It's basically an emphasis on a clean, after a shower kind of scent. But it's definitely one that, if you aren't familiar with this DNA, I highly suggest getting your hands on it. And number 7 on this list is gonna be one that is very generic, but I love it. It's one that is loaded with this ambroxan, loaded with this pepper, loaded with certain notes and nuances that make it a very crowd appealing scent. With notes like bergamot, lavender, ambroxan, and vanilla, you get Sauvage EDP. So as much as the community says that this is overworn, it just works, guys. This is one that, even though people in the community will say that, everyone in their, their brother-in-law smells is like this is one that it works every time. Now, the newer formulations seem to have been a bit weaker than the older ones, but still, guys, this is a winner of a fragrance. And guys, this is one that initially got me basically into my collection in a way. I started off with about 4 fragrances. When I started collecting, it was this, I think Aqua de Jo, a couple Scentbird, and I think YSL-Y, the EDT. And this is one that made the cut. I mean, I still wore my Aqua de Jo, but this one is the one that I really tapped through and really, got me digging into Fragrantica and kind of figuring out different fragrances and notes, and one that's just really, I'm really glad that I got my notes on initially, because even though I own like 300 plus fragrances, I still reach for this one every now and then. And guys, if you're looking for one that, the ladies will love, this is a no-brainer. Get a decant of it, go to the store, spray like 1 or 2 on, you'll see what I mean. Again, guys, that is Sauvage EDP. Now, the next fragrance on this list is one that I use primarily out of the shower, or if I'm going to the gym, or when I'm leaving the gym. This is one that I just kind of throw in my gym bag. It's one that is one of the safest blind buys on this entire list, without a doubt. But there are still some collectors out there that had recently picked it up, and they're seeing the value in it. They're seeing why it's being sold as much as it is. This fragrance has the aquatic notes, it has the green apple, it has certain musk, but the emphasis with this note is coming from the green apple and the aquatic notes. That fragrance is Nautical Voyage. If you go see this in a store, you'll see tons of flankers for this, but this is the one that you guys should check out. If you haven't checked this one out already, I highly suggest it. Like I said, it's one of the best out of the shower scents that you can own. And it is one of the top selling on Amazon. So if you want to see this on Amazon, it is there. It's one of the top selling that's on there. Inoffensive as can be, it's one that, again, no one that's around you will dislike the scent of it. It's hard to spray, it's hard to overspray this one. It's hard to be that cologne guy with this. It'll smell like you're freshly, out of the shower. Take the strongest shower gel that you know, ump it up a little bit, and you get this scent pretty much. Again, guys, that is Nautical Voyage. All right, and number 5 on this list is gonna be a fragrance that is primarily used in date night setting. It's one that, if you want to get kind of familiar with the date night kind of fragrances, this is, in my opinion, the first designer that you should go with. This or the EDP, either one, but this is the original. I suggest going with this one. There's warm, spicy notes that are in there, tobacco. It basically is the cozy notes that are accompanied with this fragrance. Number 5 is going to be Dolce & Gabbana, the One EDT. So this bottle here actually comes from Mr. Cheap, since he was kind enough to make a trade with me for Rochas Man for this, because he's had it for a while. He got fair wear out of it. But guys, this is one, like I said, it is in a lot of people's collections as a staple, really. This and the EDP. I have both. They both get wear from me. This one might be a little less than the EDP, but the scent is still phenomenal. And like I said, if you're trying to get familiar with fragrances that are meant for date night settings, this is a really good one to start with. Again, guys, that is Dolce & Gabbana, the One EDT. Now, the next fragrance on this list is going to be for those that want a louder, fresh fragrance. Let's say that you enjoy Nautical Voyage, but you want something that has a bit more oomph behind it, something that is complicating, that projects, it lasts. This fragrance has aquatic notes, it has a frozen grapefruit accord, it has certain notes that really push through warm weather, cold weather, whenever you're wearing it, really. This fragrance performs year round for me. This is one of the best, if not the best, freshie that is a designer on the market, in my opinion. Number 4 is going to be Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. And guys, if you're out in the store, you'll see the original of this. I highly suggest going with this one over that one. That one's been watered down, it's been reformulated. In my opinion, this is the Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue that you should be reaching for. Or if you want the Sun Edition, go with that. Love is love. Throw it in trash can if you're nearby it, not worth getting. This is the one that you should check out. Again, guys, that is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. Now, the next fragrance on this list is gonna be one that's gonna be more or less for formal wear, something that you can wear as a signature scent while being, let's say, 25 and up. This is one that is a solid foundation of a fragrance. It's one that pulled me in and made me start collecting this line pretty much. This was the first fragrance before I picked up my favorite from the line, but this one is magical and enjoyable. This is a fragrance that we sound in, say, like a job interview and job setting and a workplace setting. It's one that doesn't necessarily project out very far, it doesn't necessarily last the longest, but still at the end of the day, it's still a great, well-rounded fragrance. That fragrance being L'Homme by YSL. But guys, like the others, you will see the flankers of this in the store, but if you see L'Homme Ultime in this line, I suggest that one, but this one is just an easier one to kind of initiate you into this line of fragrances. This will be a fragrance that will get you in the note of cardamom, in my opinion. It's one that, like I said, it's one that will get you into fragrances that are a bit more mature, not quite as loud or obnoxious as things like Dior Sauvage or things like Invictus. This is one that's just a bit closer to skin, enjoyable, and smells damn good. Again, guys, that is Cologne by YSL. Now, next on this list is going to be a classic. It's one that is a classic, but it's one that's timeless as well. It's very similar to the timeless factor of, say, Aqua de Joe, but in my opinion, this is one that is not necessarily overdone here, especially where I live. It's one that not a lot of people wear here, but people, you know, all over the place still love this fragrance. It almost has like a cult following behind it. It's one that has been worn for a long time now, but like I said, not a lot of people wear it, not quite as much as like Aqua de Joe. With a whole cluster of notes, it comes across as an airy, green, somewhat aquatic kind of fragrance. There are notes like tobacco in this, for example, which I don't get much tobacco. I get a more of a fresher kind of take on this fragrance, but it's definitely one that you should at least get your nose on, just so you can get a general feel for this. Plus, you might end up getting a certain creed if you do enjoy it. Number 2 on this list is going to be Davidoff Cool Water. So if you're out of stores and you're looking at this fragrance, you will see this and the Intense version. This is one that I suggest going with. The Intense is going to be basically another blue fragrance. This one not being like that. This one has a bit more character in my opinion. And it is quite similar to Green Irish Tweed by Creed. And again, guys, that is Davidoff Cool Water. And number 1, this is a fragrance that I highly suggest you check out, especially if you're Googling best men's fragrances and you hit Google and go to this and this pops up, boom. This is what it is cloning or trying to be like. This is Mont Blanc's take on that fragrance. It's one that you could save a lot of money by getting this versus what it's trying to clone. And you'll be hard pressed to find another clone that's really close to this, especially being a designer. I mean, sure, there's Club de Nuit Intense Man, but this right here is just closer. It's less offensive to people that are around you than that is. That one can come off a bit lemon pledgy. This one though, it does not quite do that. With basically the same notes of Creed Aventus, with the bergamot in the opening versus the pineapple, you get Mont Blanc Explorer. And now, guys, this could be a pretty easy one to miss way out of stores. It doesn't, you know, have a super popping kind of look to it. It's basically black with a little emblem here. But, guys, this is one that if you see it in the stores, don't look over it. This is one that is well worth the money. It performs, it lasts, it smells good, and can save you a lot of money in the long run. If you want to have something, you know, nicer that's in your collection that you can wear and you know you're wearing something that's really expensive, then you can get that. But this right here does the job for a fraction of the cost. And again, guys, that is Mont Blanc Explorer. Guys, that was my list of 10 fragrances that I feel like each man or each guy should get a nose on at some point, especially when they're going out and trying to find a new fragrance. I do hope that you have found this list somewhat informative, you know, somewhat educational. If you have, again, please consider hitting that subscribe down below, things over here, and the bell so that you get notified whenever I do post. But guys, like I always say, keep it gent, love your scent, and I will see you all next time.